Well, people ask me about that a lot. How do you do that? How do you play, you know, it sounds fancy, Cannonball Rag. You know, it sounds fancy, but it's how do you play the simple part of that? You know, you have to learn that. And the part is the thumb, independence. And that's why I recommend Mississippi John Hurt, because his songs are easier, like Make Me a Pallet on the Floor, you know. It's a great song to learn for that style. That's some of the first stuff I learned, but the thing to do is what is independence with your thumb and your finger? And I use 2 fingers and a thumb, and I recommend that. You watch Merle Travis and you watch Reverend Gary Davis, they did everything with 1 finger and a thumb. It's amazing. I wouldn't play it like that, though. You don't want to limit yourself. But what are the thumb patterns? So first thing you do is go to every chord and learn the pattern for the thumb that you want to play. And it's usually octaves. In E, it's just octaves. And then this G, I play with my thumb over here, which is very common for this style because it's easy to grab. Well, why do you do that? Why not play a bar chord? Well, watch this. In the key of C, you usually play an F chord, right? You usually have a G chord. Well, look how fast it is to grab F like that. It's right there. You know, you don't do that. And then you also have your finger free. So there's some advantages to all of it. I wish I played more bar chords now, because when I hear like Joe Pass play a jazz song, he's doing it with a bar chord. You know, G7. And I play G7 like that or like that. And I wish I could do that, because he has the nice stretches he does like that. And I'm like, so it's always a trade-off. But every chord that starts on the low E string, just play octaves, you know. Don't worry about the 5th yet. Or A up here, C. Just practice the octaves in a nice steady tempo and do it slow. It gets tricky when the note starts on the A string, like A. It's a 3-note pattern. That's a little more difficult to play the melody at the same time. You could play like Robert Johnson, just play 1 note. That sounds cool for blues, you know, like Magic Sam, Looking Good. That kind of style. That's all. But you should learn this pattern. So anything that starts on the A string has this pattern, like a C chord. Or if you play a 7th chord and move it up like a D7, same thing. So that's the pattern. Any chord that moves up like that. Sometimes you have to make up your own pattern. You know, these Freddie Green jazz chords, you can Travis pick them. Sometimes you got to make up your own way to go, but learn this basic. So now, how do I play a melody at the same time? Well, this is where people start, their brain kind of goes away. You have every melody. This sounds so basic and it doesn't sound fun, but if you don't know this, you should learn it while you watch TV or whatever. Just play the thumb pattern slow. And then with 2 fingers, let's do the E string and the B string. Let's practice doing the offbeats. So that's on the offbeats. Now, let's play them at the same time. This doesn't sound like music, but it's a good exercise. Same tempo, but I'm playing at the same time. Now, why is that important? It's important because every melody you'll ever play is either on the upbeat or the downbeat. Either it's on the upbeat or it's with the note. So if I play a melody like I'm improvising. That's on the downbeat. These are on the upbeats, the syncopation. Or if I switch back. So what reason why I say this is because a lot of beginning finger styles, I can tell when they have a melody where they play at the same time, their thumb disappears. They'll be playing, they can fill space with the offbeats. They play really fast. But then when they have to play a melody at the same, on the downbeat, their thumb goes away like this. Or their thumb will just be half the time. So this is doesn't sound like much, but if you do this exercise where you alternate between upbeats, syncopated, or downbeats, this is at the thumb, the tempo is the same. This is together, the E string and the B string together. This is on the upbeat right now. I just changed it. Now go back to the together. Now it doesn't sound like music, but every melody you'll ever play is either with the thumb or opposite. So when you play a melody, that's the only way that you could be able to play a melody at the same time. Or on the upbeat. And then when you improvise, it's a combination. My thumb never stops. Now if I play it really fast, you also want to practice doing, these are the upbeats, but it's two different strings. Now do that at the same time. So watch what happens when I play that really fast. Most people can do that, but they can't do the ones at the same time that strips up their thumb. So just practice. It's at the same time, upbeats. But every melody that I ever play, no matter how fancy, it's either together with the thumb or on the upbeat. So, but if your brain can't do that, if you can't change, then you'll never be able to play independence. But just make up little melodies like, oh, play this. But do that with the thumb. Slow. So that's how you play a song like Make Me a Pallet on the Floor, It's in F. In F, you play the octave. Do a little bend there with your, And then this is tricky because you got to play this pattern. That's a melody where I play at the same time. Here's on the upbeats. So that's an exercise that I would recommend. It sounds like too basic probably, but if you can't do that, then you'll never play Cannonball Ray.